Dira Batachtonim daily. So we said that Hashem desires a dwelling place in the lowest world. That is the ego, the sense of self of a person, the only entity in the created universe that that has the potential to believe that it is in control and that God doesn't exist, or even if he does, he's totally distant and disconnected, and that the real thing that matters is what I want and me. And basically the Chovas Lavavis and the Tanya and Chassidus, this idea of Dir Batachtonim as the purpose of creation. God created the world in order to have this situation, have this reality exist, that God is totally comfortable and expressed through the Jew, through their own personality, through the Jew's personhood. This is the redemption. This is the redemption. This is the geula. This is the realization of God's purpose for creating the world. And what it took was going through this entire history of exile and destruction of the Beis Hamikdash and being taken out of Egypt. This whole process of exile is ultimately for the realized purpose of this comfortable place in the lowest worlds, in the ego of a person, of the people, of these lowest Jews, that God will be fully expressed. And so this is something that the Lubavitcher Rebbe says that is ready and is now, and it's up to us in order it's up to us to kind of inculcate and change the way we look at the world in order that we can make space for God's reality to be totally shining through who we are. And this seems completely, at least to me, it seems completely distant from our normal life. And so how do we shift from being like a regular person, God's over there and I'm over here, I've got my life to live, and God is either messing it up or helpful or whatever it is, whatever I think about how God's participation in my life is, to being completely aware and harmonious and synthesized, and that my sense of self is connected with God and is aware and is I can trust the signals of my body and my personality as directly coming from the Ribbono Shel Olam, is directly coming from kind of divine signals through my body, through my personality. So how can I get from where I am now to that? How can we realize geula? And so people just want Mashiach to come and wave his magic wand and everybody's going to be there, but that's according to the Rebbe, that's not how the process unfolds. But the process unfolds by our changing our perspective, and one of the first things to change is our relationship with what reality is. Are we aware of the fact that God creates the world every single minute, that every single moment Hashem is recreating the world from scratch? We do not, as Jews, believe that God created the world 6,000 years ago and just kind of wound it up and let it go, but that actually every single moment he's creating it ex nihilo, something from nothing, from absolutely nothing. It's not like he takes the form and just does it again and mushes it a little bit, or like mushes, those stop action, action where you basically have the whole Lego there and you're just moving it a little bit of the clay or whatever. It's actually more like a cartoon book where the page, you have a whole new page. The last page doesn't mean anything. You have that, you have the flip cartoon book where you flip it and the image appears to move. So every time there is a brand new image, and Hashem is creating the world completely from scratch every single minute. And therefore, what was going on yesterday or the second ago has no relevance really for what this new moment and the next moment hold and will mean and will be. And to realize reality on that level and to realize that I nothing I have is a given. If Hashem created the world 6,000 years ago, it's just going on. Well, whatever. Okay, so we're destined to be like this, and I'm just like I have my arm. I'm probably gonna have it. Like everything's just going. No, every single minute Hashem is recreating the world. Every single thing in the world, completely afresh. So my eyes, my ears, my teeth, my tongue, my fingers, my heart, everything that's beating, everything that's my entire livelihood, my chiyas is completely anew and afresh. And so that is the ego doesn't think that. My sense of self is very comfortable with things with cause and effect. Okay, I woke up this morning, that's why I'm awake. I ate, that's why I'm not full. And so I don't really see that Hashem, I don't think and I don't consider that Hashem is actually creating the world afresh, brand new. I think, well, if I don't pay the bills, then I'll be kicked out. If this happens, then that happens. Everything's cause and effect, and my entire idea of the world is just cause and effect. Dira Batachtonim forces us, or we have to switch our mindset and realize and remember on a more consistent basis that Hashem is creating us every single moment, that the chiyas, that the livelihood that we have every single moment is coming from Him, and there's no other cause, there's no other power, there's no other element that is causing any of this to happen at every single moment. And the more that we realize that, the more that we'll know that we're like completely indebted to Him, that we're completely subordinate to Him, that we're completely dependent on Him, and that we really have very little control, and we have very little, like we want to control. We want to use cause and effect as this kind of idea. Oh, I have control. It's cause and effect. I do it. I build it. It'll be there. I go there. It'll happen. And rather than Hashem is really holding up every single moment independently, individually, is a kind of scary feeling. But that's actually reality. So Dira Batachtonim is how we move from our state, which is really kind of like we're in our own little created bubble of what reality is. Okay, you got to be normal, and this means this, and this. We're moving into a mindset of actual reality, which is that Hashem really does create the world every single moment afresh, anew, and to be in that reality, and to be in that, oh my gosh, Hashem is mamish creating the world every single moment. To be in that reality, to live with that reality, is to be much closer to what the purpose is, and the fact that our ego wants us to stay in kind of the control and secure mode rather than to the reality mode. That's part of the shift that Dira Batachtonim is asking us to do. So thank you for listening, and the Bezrat Hashem will continue fleshing out these ideas. God bless.